This is why it's microwave weapons were introduced from the 1950s, 60s, 70s to the present day. And this is another level of proof. They are so effective. If you're not in a hurry to get rid of somebody, they are so effective as a stealth weapon to beam somebody, and this has been done many times, and it's recorded. You can beam people you don't like as a government to give them cancer, breast cancers, neurological illnesses. You can choose what you want them to get.
You can choose?
Oh, you can choose.
Quite a lot of us have been burnt here over the weekend, and I do have sunburn too.
Yep.
But the first day I had a hat and sunscreen on, and my lips just broke out, and these feel more like chemical burns.
Yep.
And these lips, some of it does not affecting everyone the same. Obviously, all our bodies are different. Yep. So there were people in a first aid tent that were holding their ground because
they're microwaving women and children in Australia because they don't want them to be free. That's how bad the situation is right now. Tons of people have come online with all sorts of burns, and they don't know how they got them. Seems like people got it in the face the worst, but it's not just the lips that are burning. These people are burning up from the inside. Classic radiation poisoning. Listen to this.
We've entered the Queensland state now, so we're back on home soil. Last night was fucking awful, even today. The nausea. Oh my God, I physically can't vomit because obviously now I've got no appetite, so I'm finding it hard to even eat. Drinking water makes you sick. My head is pounding. My lips are still they're fucking burning. Everything's still burning. I'm still cooking internally. It's not fun.
These people were nuked with microwaves. Now, most people are assuming that it's the LRAD system. This may or may not be the weapon that nuked these people. It could be the cell towers. We know that the cell towers have been weaponized. And we're getting reports that people's cell phones were being weaponized as well. That's on our Telegram feed. But these people could have been nuked by their own cell phone. They could have been nuked by the cell towers. They could have been nuked by the LRAD. But tons of people that were at the protests in front of their parliament in Canberra got nuked. And not just a little bit. We've got some pretty disturbing footage of this girl. Her whole face got nuked. Most people reported blisters on their lips as a primary symptom. But these people got nuked, cooked from the inside, and even some well-known activists from Australia, like Dave here, got nuked. Radiation sickness for days. And this is for your safety. This is so that you're not free. And if you want to be free, then they need emergency powers to keep you locked down, or at least unfree, with mandates and the like. Right now it's starting to feel a little better, but this is only temporary because these death towers are surrounding us. At first came the 5G, then came the COVID. People are going to keep getting sick because of this technology. The amount of electricity, the amount of radiation that's in the air right now is beyond imagination. Tens of thousands of times what's considered safe. Billions and trillions of times natural levels. Truly, this technology is punishment in disguise. Everybody can hear the 5G hissing, buzzing at you. The power density levels are so high right now, it's unimaginable to think that there isn't some type of side effect. But if people dare protest the restrictions, the mandates, the lockdowns, then they're going to get attacked by their government with invisible weapons, energy weapons. And they got caught red-handed. So many people have come forward that there's no denying it. It's been in the parliament. We've got the videos. And parliament members are just booing and hissing. How dare you reveal our secrets? How dare you reveal what we're doing to people? They might start asking questions. If peaceful protesters are being nuked by radiation, what else is going on? And don't think that this is just isolated to Australia, because it's not. Australia is part of this Five Eyes program, part of the liberal world order, part of the Klaus Schwab Club. And so if it's happening in Australia, it's happening everywhere. And we've got tons of activists complaining about being targeted by energy weapon attacks just like this. It's happening worldwide. They're killing people, making it look like natural causes. Heart attacks, strokes, cancers, even COVID. Energy weapons will wipe out your metabolism, your mitochondria, and wipe out your energy. And so people that feel like they've got the long COVID, they're actually suffering from radiation poisoning. And so people go to the hospital thinking that they have the COVID, and then the hospital finishes people off. At first came the 5G at warp speed, and then came the COVID. And then they did everything they could so that you couldn't get any type of medicine that might work. Has to be the vaccine. Nothing can save you except the death vax. Of course, situation is slightly more complicated than just 5G in the environment. Seems like 5G is part of the problem, the cocktail effect that's making people sick. There's no telling what else they're spraying people with out there, but you've seen the skies, you've seen the chemtrail skies. They're definitely poisoning people. And this whole crowd got blasted with radiation. They played music while they irradiated you. And so you have to wonder about these events. How wise is it to show up at one of these events these days? Because the deep state is just waiting to nuke you. And again, it's not just at these events. They're targeting people in their homes. They're targeting people while they sleep. This is happening worldwide. It's automated. You log into Facebook, you post something they don't like, they send an update to your phone, and the Death Tower does the rest. It locks onto you biometrically and follows you everywhere you go. And so this is another problem for freedom-loving people out there. They're now being targeted by the Skynet, whether they know it or not. And when people receive a huge dose, like they did in Canberra, then it starts looking like this. Immediate, visible side effects. But for most people, the extermination is slow. And they cook you while you sleep, day after day. Keeping you tired, keeping you sick, messing with your heart rate,
Quite a lot of us have been burnt here over the weekend, and I do have sunburn.
Messing with your biology, essentially. Raping you with these death hours. And these phaser beams are accurate for miles. These cell towers are a weapon system parked in everyone's neighborhoods. They're just pretending to be for cell phones, but essentially it's a control grid. It's like a geofence, following you wherever you go, waiting for you to stand still, to sit down, so that it can beam you like a microwave oven. That's exactly what this technology is. It's a microwave, a giant microwave tower. They call them cell towers, but they should call them microwave towers. Weaponized microwave towers that target you and beam you and cook you.
Yeah. But the first day I had a hat and sunscreen on, and my lips just broke out in these.
The video guy is fired.
Younger people that are getting sick with something, okay? But if you look at what we know about, for example, electromagnetic frequency toxicity, it's indistinguishable from COVID, from what they call COVID.
There's tons of papers, even on PubMed, talking about 5G causing COVID-like symptoms, wiping out your immune system, and the like. These literally are death towers that are integrated with a weapon system that can target you through walls and beam you, attack you wherever you go. These things are so dangerous. The fact that they're everywhere right now should concern everyone. None of us are safe as long as these death towers are out there. And so, while the everyday attacks are less obvious than what happened in Canberra, this is the policy now, to irradiate people for their safety, because they want to be free, because they want truth to govern us. People want to be governed by truth, not lies. People want to live in a safe world, not a world run by psychopaths and killers that want to assimilate you into the matrix. But unfortunately, right now, this is the future that we live in, surrounded by death towers, with a government that's totally out of control. You think the inflation is bad, you think the mismanagement of resources or the border is bad. That's nothing compared to what these people are really into. They're worshiping the devil. They're trying to kill as many people as they can as a type of blood sacrifice, and they're using these death towers to electrocute you, germ warfare to kill you, and the like. And so that's the challenge that we're all facing right now. A crazy world government trying to kill everyone using death towers and invisible weapons. And these death towers are protected by every type of imaginable law enforcement and possible to take down all of these death towers by ourselves. Has to be a collective action. But talking about it puts you on the grid, and so automatically you get attacked. And many people have felt the energy weapon attacks, strange vibrations at night, rumble attacks, electromagnetic meat grinder attacks, and the like. And so as soon as this happens to you, your first reaction is to submit, comply, be quiet, self-censor. That's exactly what they want. We've been dealing with this for well over a year now. Non-stop electromagnetic harassment from towers and the like. And the best thing that we can recommend to people at this stage is shielding. Faraday style shielding. Wire mesh, sheet metal, and the like. I'd wear a lead apron if I could. But in any case, shielding works for the most part. And it's all that you can really do until enough people wake up to want to change what's going on. But the more you research how dangerous these cell towers are, the worse it looks, the worse it gets.
But it is going to bother you because you're human. And I was human. But it is going to bother you because you're human.
And it seems like the rollout of these death towers is part of the assimilation program. They essentially want to kettle everyone into a place where they can't escape. Confined, isolated, brainwashed, dumbed down, full of nanotechnology and who knows what, so that the next step towards assimilation will become relatively easy. And these death towers are a huge part of that. Anyone that's still a pureblood out there, that's still human out there, is essentially at risk of being confronted by this type of technology, these types of assaults. And if you're unprepared, you probably won't survive. They're relentless. And so we keep advising people to invest in shielding, because eventually it's going to happen to you. Eventually you're going to get confronted with this technology, just like these protesters were. They got a huge dose, but undoubtedly soon these death towers will be tracking them, cooking them while they sleep, if it's not happening already. They may not even realize it yet. But everyone will be confronted with this type of harassment eventually. Many people can already hear the buzzing in their ears, the clicking near their ears. That's a telltale sign of a microwave attack. Almost sounds like a cricket, but it's like a click. In any case, shielding is your best option. Again, we recommend Faraday shielding, wire mesh. The tighter the better, the thicker the better. Stainless steel works really well. Make a safe room, shield under the bed. We recommend personal shielding. You can try some of this EMF clothing that's out there, or make your own with the fabric. We haven't tested all of it out yet. We'd like to. But there's fabric that's woven in with silver and copper, and some of it may work better than others. Some of it may work well for a cell phone, but not well for a real attack like this. We do recommend, however, that people manifest the armor in Ephesians 6:13. In the real world, you can do it using thick aluminum. Make yourself a hat or a helmet. This is why they make fun of it, so that you don't protect yourself. Don't wear EMF shielding. Make a breastplate, a girdle, protect your midsection. That's a must. And shoes. Sandals, eventually. Because in some places the ground is so electrified that you're actually getting attacked from underground. And so this may seem real extraordinary for many people out there, but this is the new world now. And the fiery darts of the enemy are EMF attacks, to say the least. And so you can essentially make a skull cap and put it under a baseball cap. We recommend 15 layers. And you may not need it all the time, but you want to have something like that ready in case you do need it. We've been in situations where essentially without it, it was unsurvivable. And they'll attack you when you least expect it. When you're shopping at the grocery store, they'll try and make you pass out so that they can just scoop you up and put you on a ventilator. That's the plan. Make it look like COVID. Make you disappear and have it look like COVID. Nobody's going to ask questions. And even if they did, everybody is so censored right now that nobody's going to hear you scream. And so everybody's really on their own when it comes to self-protection. And wearing armor or putting up shielding is inconvenient, to say the least, aesthetically and the like. And so many people will essentially not do it, and they're going to be wide open for an attack or an operation or a new wave of pandemics. But these weapons are so refined now, they can take out an entire city in just minutes, seconds even. They can wipe you out in less than 10 seconds with an EMF weapon parked in a van somewhere. And so it's not a joke. We probably recommend that people don't go to these events or linger anywhere near the front. But with cell towers, attacks can come from any direction, so just gotta be on guard for these types of attacks. One of many different types of attacks, invisible attacks, that they'll deploy to disrupt your daily life. But they love deploying neurotoxins and using cell towers to make your life as difficult as possible. We'll have to leave it there for this broadcast. We could talk about this subject for quite some time, but invest in shielding, personal shielding like Ephesians 6:13. Use the material that you can, but you definitely want to protect your chest, your midsection, your head, and attacks coming from underground, and your shield is your shielding. Make a safe room. Shield under the bed. Don't turn your safe room into a microwave oven by shielding all 6 sides of the cube and then having a transmitter on the inside. Even if you don't have a transmitter on the inside, having shielding on every side of the cube can cause a negative feedback loop. So you're going to have to test out different shielding patterns. But we definitely recommend shielding under the bed and any wall that might be facing a suspect location, whether it be a cell tower, shady neighbor, or one of these Memo pads. See if we can bring up these Memo pads, but essentially now one of these little base stations that's commonly used for internet way out there in the country. These things can be a launch pad for EMF attacks as well. They tend to be used as backhaul for different types of wireless accessories, such as surveillance cameras and the like. So you can have these little Memo pads everywhere. Not sure what the video guy is doing here, but maybe we can find a better example. They look like these little boxes there. But these things can launch an attack from half a mile away, relentlessly as well. And many people have them on their homes now, just like this. And so this is, part of the mesh network, but it becomes a weapon station as well, managed by AI from a location far away, tapping into the local network. It sees through walls like sonar, targets you with the phased array technology, 5G technology, and beams you wherever you go. So these little boxes are a little more difficult to spot, but hopefully you can find them in your neighborhood. But these are the things that you're going to want to be thinking about when you're shielding. Swiss cheese shielding kind of works best. That way the EMF can dissipate and not accumulate like a microwave oven. And that's essentially shielding 101. Most people want to shield every direction and make it airtight just to find out that it made it worse. And some materials actually act like a lens and make it worse, like Mylar. Avoid Mylar wherever you can. But foil will work for personal shielding and as a temporary solution, but you really want to get something more heavy duty, something more industrial for these industrial weapons, military weapons that they're deploying on people. Again, they're nuking women and children so that they can't be free. They're going to be doing this everywhere. It's not just Australia. Reports are coming in worldwide. Lots of activists have been killed. There's a high probability you've been on a red list for quite some time and you may or may not know it yet. Maybe your location is way out there in the boonies. But for most people, you're probably already on the radar. And so shielding is something that you're going to have to invest in. And it doesn't cost a whole lot to get wire mesh shielding or some of this fabric. Make curtains, test it out, and the like. But it doesn't cost a lot of money to protect yourselves, but you definitely want to invest in it. And some materials work better than others. You're just going to have to test it out the best you can. If you have a meter or just use your feelings. And so there isn't a magic solution to the problem, because the system modulates the frequencies, and the frequencies have a way of penetrating materials better than other materials. Some frequencies can traverse essentially most types of shielding. The lower the frequency, the more it penetrates. It's kind of like why people used to be able to watch television with an antenna, bunny ears antennas, because the radio waves would just go through the walls. And so the lower the frequency, the more it penetrates. The higher the frequency, the more energy it has, but the less it penetrates. And so they tend to fluctuate between 400 megahertz and 2.5 gigahertz, but they can go lower. In any case, we'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Until the next time, feel free to mirror this content. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.